What's up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on ESPN SportsCenter, they're going to be talking about how Ben Roethlisberger is going to play another year. So let's see what they have to say about that.
The quarterback questions we've been talking about for the last several weeks. Ben Roethlisberger, it's been announced by the team itself that they have signed him to a one-year contract extension, a new deal for just this upcoming season. You may recall that they've been asking him to restructure his deal to give Pittsburgh some more flexibility. Would have been a cap hit of over $41 million. So we don't know the dollars yet. But again, Ben Roethlisberger agreeing to change up that deal a little bit, signing him to a one-year deal for this upcoming season. Remember the Steelers themselves this past season, they made the playoffs last season, but not Ben Roethlisberger. He did not have his best year. In fact, far from it when you look at his numbers. His 6.3 yards per pass attempt, his worst as a full-time starter. Same with 7 air yards per attempt, not throwing the ball downfield very often. And all told, his total QBR was just 60, and that was the worst for him since 2013. Ben Roethlisberger, he turned 39 years old just 2 days ago after 17 seasons in the league. Again, the cap space the Steelers needed. Looks like they're getting it. We don't have the final numbers yet, but we can tell you this. Big Ben coming back to the Steel City for at least one more year. Steelers reporter Brooke Pryor.
So I'm super happy to hear that Ben Roethlisberger is going to be coming back for another year. So I know at the end of the season, the past, 5 or 6 games, they really fell off, especially in that playoff game where they just played like absolute trash from the very beginning. But they went 11-0 at the beginning of that season for a reason. And if they can figure out what it is, what they did to go 11-0, and they can figure out what it is, they can definitely do that again. They definitely need to work on their running game. That's one thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers really need to help out. Ben Roethlisberger, the offensive line, and their running backs. They need to get that taken care of because I think Ben Roethlisberger can definitely still play. He just needs a little bit of help, but he can definitely still play.
Brooke, what other details can you give us about the new deal for Big Ben?
Well, Sage, happy birthday to Ben Roethlisberger. He turned 39 years old 2 days ago, gets a new deal today. And right now, we don't know the full terms of this contract. The release just said that they have signed him to a new contract to bring him back for the 2021 season. We don't know if this is a one-year deal or if it's something where he got a restructure, an extension with voidable years on the back end. But we do know the most that this can reduce his cap hit is by, he will count against the cap at least $22.5 million next year. That was the dead cap being carried over to this season. He could play for the vet minimum. He could have restructured for a cap hit of around $27 million, but we don't know those terms quite yet. But one thing is sure, Ben Roethlisberger will be back in a Steelers uniform for 2021.
So still a significant.
Again, I'm happy that he's going to be coming back. Definitely, like same thing with Tom Brady. I never give up on the well seasoned, 2-time Super Bowl winning, 3-time Super Bowl appearance, Hall of Fame quarterback that Ben Roethlisberger is. I never give up on those guys. And like I said, he's still very dangerous. They went 11-0 last year for a reason at the beginning of the season. So if he can get back to that, they can fix the offensive line and pick up a running game. Ben Roethlisberger can still be very dangerous. And I think he can play longer than another year if he stays healthy.
Cap relief for the Steelers, no matter what this ends up being, but probably you said maybe half. What does it do overall for them, Brooke? Because we saw Ben mention it in the statement that was just released that he's trying to, help bring other talent back to this team. Where does the team stand on that as they look to bring back some other key free agents?
Well, at this point, the Steelers still have 19 unrestricted free agents, and these are guys that are going to fetch a pretty high price tag on the open market. Guys like wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, linebacker Bud Dupree. At this point, even though Ben is reducing his salary by about half, as far as we know, it's still going to be really impossible for them to bring any of those guys back. So the Steelers are still.
So you definitely want to bring back Juju Smith. But I heard that Ben Roethlisberger, I think he was slated to make $19 million or something like that, and then he took a pay cut, and now he's going to be making $14 million. I read that somewhere. I can't remember where. Don't quote me on that. But he definitely is being a team player. He's taking a pay cut, so he's able to come back and hopefully run it back and have in his career on a good solid note.
Going to have to be bargain hunting to surround Ben Roethlisberger with some talent for the upcoming season.